Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon. Every death in Yellowstone Season 5. Yellowstone had its fair share of deaths over the course of its 5 seasons, with 6 characters losing their lives, all in different ways, in Season 5. The Paramount Network neo-Western drama followed the Dutton family, the previous owners of the largest ranch in Montana, the Yellowstone Dutton Ranch. They often encountered danger, both from within their inner circle and from external sources. Consequently, many Yellowstone characters have died since the series first premiered in 2018. As a matter of fact, the show's first major death happened when Robert Long shot and killed Lee Dutton in the Yellowstone pilot. While the first half of Yellowstone Season 5 didn't feature much bloodshed, but a couple of heartbreaking goodbyes, Part 2 contained more than enough deaths to scar both the characters and the audience. Part 2's premiere, Episode 9, began with what was possibly Yellowstone's biggest death. Then 3 more people died, one of which was, honestly, expected, while the other 2 were complete surprises. Taylor Sheridan evidently wanted his show to go out with a bang, and it certainly did by the time the credits rolled after Yellowstone Season 5, Episode 14. The premiere of Yellowstone Season 5, Part 1, 100 Years is Nothing, ended with the viewers saying goodbye to a character who they never truly met, John Dutton IV. The audience learned that Monica Long Dutton was pregnant with her and Case Dutton's second child in Season 4. They were going to name him after his grandfather, Kevin Costner's John Dutton IV, and finally give their other son, Tate Dutton, a brother. Unfortunately, tragedy struck before the Dutton family's next member even got a chance to live. During Yellowstone Season 5, Episode 1, Monica started experiencing pregnancy pains 3 weeks before her due date. Since Case was away from home on business, Monica drove herself and Tate to the hospital. On the way, they got into a horrific accident. Monica's pain distracted her, while another preoccupied driver was coming from the opposite way and a stray bison wandered onto the road. It was a recipe for disaster. When they collided, the other driver died on impact, and Monica and Tate were hurt, more so Monica than Tate, and rushed to the hospital. When Costner's John first arrived at the hospital, he spotted Tate, who was beaten up but okay. Tate heartbreakingly told his grandfather, "I had a brother, for an hour anyway." It was true, as the doctors tried everything in their power to save John Dutton IV, but they were fighting a losing battle. Monica was completely broken after the Yellowstone Season 5 premiere's horrific death, and she asked Case if they could have a funeral for their son and bury him on the land. Of course, Case agreed, and the family came together to mourn what could have been. The second and last death in Yellowstone Season 5, Part 1, came in Episode 6, Cigarettes, Whiskey, a Meadow, and You. Emmett Walsh, one of John's old friends and fellow cowboys, died in his sleep. He was the chairman of the Stock Growers Association, who first appeared during the pilot episode in 2018. Emmett certainly wasn't a main character in Yellowstone Season 5, or even a relatively important one, but his death was poignant nonetheless. As John explained, Emmett's death in Yellowstone was the ideal way for any cowboy to go. Kevin Costner's character said, "He just died on the trail, like every cowboy dreams it." There are too many peaceful deaths in the neo-Western drama TV series, but Emmett's was certainly one of them. John was still heartbroken to say goodbye to his friend, especially because Emmett's death seemingly symbolized cowboy culture fading, something that the Duttons were determined to stop. Kevin Costner left Yellowstone ahead of Season 5, Part 2, meaning Part 1's finale was the last time fans would see John Dutton IV, not including Costner's body double on the screen. In the months leading up to Part 2's premiere, many wondered how Taylor Sheridan would write John out of the show. Of course, many speculated that John would die, and unfortunately, they were right. During the Yellowstone Season 5, Part 2 premiere, viewers learned that John had died by suicide. Of course, this was heartbreaking, but it was also confusing because it wasn't clear why John would do so, meaning that he was most likely murdered. As the episode and the season continued, details about the events of the fateful night John died became more clear. Sarah Atwood from Market Equities and Jamie's lover hired assassins to execute John and make it look like a suicide. She had an agenda to take the Duttons' land, and nothing was going to get in her way. John's children, mostly Beth and Case, mourned him, and Beth vowed to avenge her father in Yellowstone Season 5. She knew Jamie was somehow involved, giving her more ammunition to want him gone. During the Yellowstone Season 5 finale, the family gathered to say goodbye to John at his funeral and bury him alongside the other deceased Duttons. Afterward, Beth certainly made good on her promise to John. As mentioned above, Dawn Olivier's character sought out hitmen to murder John, and it was those very same people who killed Sarah in Yellowstone Season 5. Case knew his father had been murdered, so in Episode 11 he marched down to the medical examiner's office and convinced them to take a second look at John's body. They ultimately concluded that it was possible John hadn't died by suicide and was actually killed. The police then reopened John's case, which was the beginning of the end for Sarah. The company Sarah hired to execute John needed to clean up their mess to avoid the cops from looking their way, which is why Sarah died in Yellowstone Season 5, Episode 11. After a fight with Jamie, Sarah stormed out of his house and got into her car. He called her to apologize as Sarah reached a stoplight. Another car pulled up beside Sarah, signaling her to roll her window down. When she did, the couple pretended to be lost tourists. However, they were assassins who shot and killed Sarah in her car, while she was still on the phone with Jamie before driving away. Yellowstone Season 5's most unexpected and unnecessary death came in Episode 12 when Colby Mayfield died. Colby had been a ranch hand for the Duttons since the beginning of the series. Although he wasn't a main character by any means, Colby was still loved by many, which is why his death was so difficult to accept. It came out of nowhere and seemed pointless as it did nothing to further the plot. Colby's death just broke Teeter's heart. While filling up the horses' water buckets on the ranch, Carter got stuck in one of their stalls. A bad-tempered horse cornered Carter when he tried to return its bucket of water, and the young teen screamed for help. Colby ran in to try to help Carter. He tried to distract the horse while Carter escaped, but by doing so, Colby sacrificed his life. The horse attacked Colby, almost instantly killing him before Carter returned with a shotgun and killed the animal. It was too late, though, as the ranch hand was already dead in Yellowstone Season 5, Episode 12. The final death of Season 5 came during the finale. For years, Yellowstone has been building Beth and Jamie's rivalry, and it was only a matter of time before one killed the other. Unfortunately for Jamie, Beth came out on top. Beth has hated Jamie since the abortion clinic sterilized her as a teenager without her permission, while Jamie knew. So Beth just needed a good reason to get rid of her brother once and for all, and that came when she confirmed Jamie was somehow involved in John's death. Sure, he didn't pull the trigger, but Jamie knew the truth. At John's funeral, Beth whispered to her father's casket that she would avenge him. Sarah was already dead, so viewers knew Beth was talking about Jamie. She drove to Jamie's house after the funeral, waited for him to get home, and attacked him with bear spray in Yellowstone Season 5, Episode 14. The two Dutton siblings went back and forth for a while, and just when it seemed like Jamie was going to choke Beth to death, Rip arrived and saved his wife. He pulled Jamie off of Beth and held him while she stabbed him in the gut, killing him. Beth made sure that her face was the last one Jamie saw. Afterward, Rip and Lloyd got rid of Jamie's car and took his body to the train station in the Yellowstone finale, while Beth came up with a story for the police, ensuring she would get away with murder.